Hi there, folks. Welcome to another episode of Art of the City. We're live streaming here from San Diego, and it is an absolutely glorious Monday. I hope that you are off to a good start. We've got so much talent coming on this show, and this is the second week that we've been really focusing on Native American artists. As many of you know, I'm a Native American. I'm from the Rincon Band of Luiseño Indians, located here in San Diego. And I felt it was really important for many reasons to bring natives that have devoted their lives to art, craft, music, the culinary arts, because we are such a diverse community across the world, across the United States rather. And I thought that since Indian Market had been shut down this year, that it would be a good time to bring these creatives on. So today I have one of the rock stars of the jewelry world coming on live, Cody Sanderson. He's been one of those artists that have really pushed the envelope. You know, he's come from reservation life, but now he's taking his own style and he's pushing it out where there's collectors literally all over the world collecting his work. I know he's made a really big impact in Japan, which I understand because he really has kind of an in-your-face style that I love. So I'm going to bring him on. But one of the things I wanted to share, being a Native person in this time that we're living, where we're not really getting a lot of good news in the media. I know if you turn on the news, it's like bad news and then worse news and then maybe not so good news in the future. And we're just bombarded with it. As Native people, this is not our first rodeo. We have gone through this. This is in our DNA. I mean, we are basically an occupied people here in this continent where this is our land that has been taken over, and we're part of the United States now. But our DNA really goes back to the tragedies that we've faced. But the beauty is we also have DNA that we're overcomers. We're still here, and it's really our responsibility as Natives to encourage everyone that we are going to get through this. So one of the things I love about Cody's work is that he's kind of in your face, but he's got that message, and you're going to see it really today in what he creates. So let me see if I can get Cody Sanderson to come on live here. Welcome, Cody.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing great, and even better now that you're here on the show.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Cody, everybody knows you as being, you know, you've really pushed the envelope in jewelry. I mean, your work has, it has the origins of who you are as a Native person, but you're really kind of pushing it to the next level. Give us a little bit of background on how you grew up and how this whole thing came to be.
First of all, I grew up in Gallup, New Mexico, and in Window Rock, Arizona. Well, of course, capital of the Navajo Nation. From there, I went to, Arizona State University, Mesa Community College down there in the valley. From there, I joined the military. I was there for like 6 years. And I have such a really broad spectrum of different things I did before I started making jewelry or got into the art world. In the Navy, I was in the nuclear propulsion field, and I went to college. I was going to be in pre-med, and then I got out of the Navy. I was a chiropractic therapist, and I wanted to get my doctor's in it, and I came to Santa Fe, loved the art, and got into the art world, but I didn't make jewelry. I didn't make jewelry and didn't start my company really until 2002. Basically, it took me over 20 years to decide what I wanted to do out of high school. So those people who say they're not doing anything, they don't know what to do when they're 22, 23, 24, 30 years old. I started when I was 38, 39 years old, and I'm still doing it.
Well, you only look like you're 30, so you're doing something right.
My hair tells a different story.
So, Cody, did you grow up on the res?
I did. I sure did.
What was that like?
It was, with the idea of what you always think about the res, and it's depressed, low income, a lot of alcoholism, and a lot of domestic violence, things like that. I experienced that with my friends and their families, but I was really, really blessed to have an amazing mother who took care of us kids. And there's five of us, and she worked as a nurse in IHS and in Gallup, and then she worked in Fort Defiance. So I do really, really respect and honor her. She just turned 85 a couple weeks ago, and she's still around. She gave me a call this morning, and her mind is sharp as a tack. Her voice and everything. Only thing is, like, as we mature, our bodies start feeling it, and her body
Right.
is starting to feel it right now too.
So, did she influence you? Because it's really interesting. I'm listening to your background story, and you really kind of went into the medical field, and
I
you got
did.
to be smart to be able to do that. So, you've got both sides of your brain kind of firing there, right brain, left brain, creative, that type of thing. How did you end up going from being very analytical, because that's kind of an analytical side, to this really creative, what you're doing now?
I really, really don't know. I just really fell in love with the art world. Like I said, my mom was a nurse. My uncles were like, principals or teachers or administrators, but no one was really into art. Nobody actually put their talents to a canvas or to stone or to jewelry. No one.
Hmm.
And I just kind of fell into it, and I really appreciated it. I did have a job for 8 years selling jewelry on the road. And my thing was, if I saw a piece, I said, man, if I made this piece, I would do this to it. If I did this, I would add this stone to it. And so I started learning here and there. The guys in the back of the studio, I would ask them questions. And that's what I would instill into a lot of young artists. Always ask questions, even though you've taken college classes, even if you don't take college classes, even if you say, I'm a self taught artist, you have to continuously ask questions, even when you've established yourself, because you'll never know what you can learn. And one of the things I say is, you will never know how much you learn by teaching. It's amazing. When I would teach casting, or I would teach jewelry, I discover something new in my world too. But I do love what I'm doing. I do enjoy it. I tell my kids when they're growing up, it's like playing PlayStation all day long, and I don't tire from it. But now I have a company. I've incorporated my company. I do have employees, but this pandemic has really, really hit me hard. But I
Yeah.
would say the thing that's hit me worse than the pandemic has been counterfeits, and I have a really, really bad situation with counterfeits on my pieces. Not necessarily in the United States. Some of the pieces are getting here to the U.S., but a majority of them are being done in Asia. So,
Interesting.
and some of them have been. Let me see if I have one of the rings here. I thought I had one, but it's. I'll have a particular ring, and let me see. I thought I had one right here.
Well,
Here we go.
they always say that when people copy you, it's the a sign of flattery. But
Hmm.
then there's a limit to it, where your signature style gets ripped off by people, and then that trickle down effect to you. Now you have a company, you're employing people, which is
Right.
really great, and that's a good sign of growth, is
Hmm.
offering jobs for people. So then it really does kind of cut into your ability to keep your creative juices going on a financial level.
It does, and it does hurt my employees, because if we don't have those sales, then they cannot be continuously working. Some of the pieces, like this particular ring, like this, I don't know if you can see it. Um, I've seen this reproduced before. This ring can retail out maybe about $380, and I've seen it sell for $700, a real one in Japan, and then a fake one out of mostly Vietnam and China are the ones that are doing it the most. But they'll make one exactly like this. They'll have my name on the inside. They'll have Santa Fe. They'll have Navajo on it, and they'll have worldwide shipping. and it's made in stainless steel, and it retails out for $18.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so that is, and they're selling a great amount of it to them. My representatives in Asia, we're fighting them. We're doing, my name got taken in China. I can't even sell under my own name in China, and that's an amazing, huge market. Um, what would have cost me maybe $500 to get completely done and situated legally, my last company that represented me in Asia, they didn't do it. Now I have my attorney here in America, and I have another one in China. The people who represent me in China, Asia, they have one in Taipei, they have one in China too. And the
Right.
people who used to represent me in Japan, they have their own attorney. So we have 5 different attorneys fighting for my name to get back, and we may still not get it back, but we're working on it.
Right. But I would think though, because I've seen the quality of what it is that you do,
Uh-huh.
there's no way that that can be duplicated. I mean, somebody may on at first gloss look at it and say, oh, that's a Cody Sanderson.
Right.
But the quality of what you bring, there's no comparison.
Well, there is that point, and a majority of the pieces that they do have that they misrepresent my work is done that way. But I will tell you, there are some amazing pieces out there that I've like, wow. Now I can see how other companies leave the United States and have it done over there. They're done probably cheaper. They're done better at a better quality, at a faster time frame. But that whole thing of me being native and wanting to do something here, that's
Mhm.
what I want to do. I
Well,
eventually, you'll see
it's
a lot of people.
interesting
Oh,
too
go ahead.
that you
Uh-huh.
you what you bring up is that some things never change. So a lot of the things, like for instance, you think about the crest that is, the animal of the United States is the eagle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where did the eagle come from?
Right.
It came from us as Native people, and now it's on our dollar and it's everywhere. And so this is not the first time this type of thing has happened as natives and as creative people and people of culture, indigenous culture.
Uh-huh. Well, you have like Ralph Lauren, who took a number of designs from the Navajos, and I
Mhm.
think they lost with that Urban Outfitters. And there's a number of other companies who have appropriated native designs and ideas. So what I'm going to be doing, maybe this next 2021, is introduce a line of a little more native designs, Navajo designs, rug patterns, and things like that. And I may be mimicking Urban Outfitters or Ralph Lauren or maybe the other ones, but they originally took it from the Navajos. So when they say, "Hey, no, this is our design. You can't do this. This is a copyright infringement," and they'll say, "Well," I say, "Well, actually, I can because you took it originally from us, and I'm Navajo. You're not Navajo. You're Jewish and you're Polish, but you can't really be appropriating our designs. But I'm appropriating my own design. So how can you say that these are yours?"
So you're
So
going to
like
flip it on its head then.
I'm trying to, and I'm going to create a ruckus probably because you have someone like Ralph Lauren, who anyone who has a polo silhouette on anything, they say that they will go after them and they will, send cease and desist letters to these people. Even the Beverly Hills Polo Club, when they did a polo pony and a guy with it,
Right.
and he went after them too. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, but he went after the city of Kobe, saying they're taking advantage of his name to promote their city,
Right.
and he was named after Kobe, Japan. So it's interesting on how those things work, and if I can turn it around and make it a little more positive, saying that yes, we do have the right to use our own designs. We do have the right to make money on our own designs because they
Right.
are making billions, not millions, not hundreds of millions. They're doing billions of dollars in transactions all over the world.
But I'm not surprised that you're being a forerunner in this because your work, for instance, do you have the one ring that you probably will have to hold up to the folks over there at Ralph Lauren when they come after you?
Oh yeah, and I'll have something
You
like
know
that
which
on
one I'm
there. Well,
talking about?
this has been. Oh yeah, actually, I have a little one here. It's not complete, and this is a tiny one, but it's all my jewelry does read backwards
I'm,
because.
I'm gonna I'm gonna minimize my screen so you guys can see that.
Can you see that?
Can you guys see that? So that's the FU ring. And I love that because that, in some ways, really, that sentiment right there, obviously, the F bomb is a universal term we all use, even if you don't want to admit it. It's one of my favorite words, actually. But it does kind of represent who we are as Native people because we have felt that way for a very long time, just with the things that have been taken away from us. We are resilient people, and you see this in Cody's work. So I don't want to steal the stage from you, Cody, and jump on my soapbox, but let's talk a little bit about your inspiration because you have such a great, it's almost like motorcycle meets native meets rock star, and everybody that sees it. I mean, when I put on one of your pieces of jewelry, I feel like, I feel very cool, first of all, which I'm probably not that cool. And I feel like a bit of a badass. So share
Uh-huh.
with the viewer, how did you come up with this style?
Well, it was interesting because a lot of men do not have jewelry. They don't have a line of jewelry for themselves. A lot of companies they don't do that. They cater to the women, which isn't a bad thing. Like 80% of all jewelry is purchased by women versus men, and that's who they're catering to. So what I did was I made a line of heavy gauge, very masculine jewelry, whether it's a large bracelet, whether, even in the promotion that we had for the image, you had me seeing this one bracelet like this, and um, it does have some integrity, and it will last a few thousand years if you take care of it. And that's kind of that's my foundation of all the jewelry I have. It's heavy, it has some uh, stamina, and you will, when you wear it, you know you have it on. But what I found was, the bracelets I was making were very large, and they were like larger size in diameter, and so this is a big bracelet. My wrists are pretty big, but this would accommodate a large person's wrist. What I found out was all these women were ordering it still, and I just had to make it smaller, and I'm like, isn't this too heavy for you? No, I love it. This is great. And this bracelet here, you can see this here, it has different patterns. Looks like a bunch of wolf heads,
Right.
and it goes like this. And it
Wow.
started out flat. And do you know who buys this? People as a rocker, a punk rocker, a heavy metal biker, or something. Women age 60 and above buy this. They have this certain uh, idea or this feeling of, I don't care. I don't care who says grandma's a little hard and a little rough on the edges. It's my time. And that's what I love about this. You don't know
I
who's going
love
to be
it
buying your
too.
pieces. And it's a significant piece, and it doesn't, I make sure it doesn't grab, and it doesn't, cling or stick on things. So it works really well. All the edges are smoothed out, but it looks aggressive, but it's not to the wearer. Maybe there's
No,
somebody
I
else
think
that might
it's
be.
empowering would be a good word.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
When you reach that time in your life where you just don't give a F what anybody else thinks, it's a good
Exactly.
place to be.
Mm-hmm. And
I
I
love
really,
it.
really like that. Another thing that I do is I do a lot of star motif items, like whether it's a pendant like this or um, a linked bracelet that'll, this isn't two arrowheads, and then it works as a toggle, and it goes like this.
Right.
So I'm working on this, literally working on this right now. So it goes like that, it comes apart. But things like this, I do a lot of star motif pieces because my kid's mother, her last name is Agoyo. She's from San Juan Pueblo. They call it Okewinge right now. And their last name was Agoyo, or they're still Agoyo. And she's the one who introduced me to the stars. And my son, his middle name is Agoyo. So I just started doing one little star component, then two, then three, then four. Then right now, my company probably has the most star themed items than any other jewelry company in the world. You'll see it on This is a thing I did with a razor blade. You can see the star. You can
Oh
see the
my God,
arrow on
that
there.
is so hot.
And you can see the it says Santa Fe, USA on there, Sterling, things like that. And these were given out to our VIPs. This isn't polished or anything, but you can see the VIP on here, and
Right.
people really appreciate it. This is another dog tag I just recently done. You can see it online if you go on Instagram. But it goes like this here. This is all sterling silver, and then this is the back side of it. And if you can read it, it should say, it says F COVID-19, beat the virus, stay,
That's perfect.
stay safe. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you did something, you know, I wouldn't even say in honor of, against
Hmm.
the COVID
Yeah.
initiative.
So we're
That's
getting
all.
that to a lot of our celebrity guests, our celebrity clients, and they are available. They are pricey, but they are available, and a certain percentage of it will be going to Doctors Without Borders.
Oh, that's a
So
good, I love that organization. Now, I know you do most of your work in silver, but do you also do pieces in gold? And the reason why I ask is because I notice my dad is live streaming with us here and he loves gold. Dad,
mm.
watch out.
So anything you see that I have in silver, I can do in gold. I can
Okay.
encrust it with diamonds. I've made it in platinum. So I do have a number of items and components that I have done in gold. There's a gentleman named, he's in Northern California, but this is his piece for his ring. And if you can see this, this is a gold, 18 karat gold skull, and the feathers are arrows. I don't know if you can make that out.
That is stunning. So, Cody, do you draw these out first? How do you conceptualize? Like, take us through your mind. So, you're, very creative. And how do you come up with? Do you have a vision of it, or do you just play around with a piece of paper? How do you come up with these ideas?
I should be drawing them out, doing some things, documenting it, but I don't. Man, if you did look in my mind, you'd probably just see cartoons and stick figures or things like that. I don't have any type of format or formula on how to do things, but I just happen to do it. And I just, one thing I've done is I make things that I like, and if I like them, just by chance somebody else likes them. And there are items that I've made that I I want to keep. This is one of them. I made this one of my pieces I made a long time ago. It's called Bisbee, and this is an old 24 karat gold coin, and it just and I like it. If you have enough light behind it, it illuminates all the way through.
Oh,
And
that's
I wear everybody else's jewelry. I don't discriminate. If it's a non-native or they're native, or I wear everybody's jewelry, and then I'll add them together, put them into one pendant, and have a collage of a bunch of things and gold and silver and see like this here. This
oh
is
wow,
another
that's
Navajo.
amazing.
This guy's awesome. His name's Isaac Dial, and he made
Yeah,
this for
that's
me,
beautiful.
isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah,
That's
stunning.
outstanding.
So, Cody,
I
when did it
Mhm.
really hit for you? I know you've been creating jewelry for what, almost 20 years now, 15 years?
Yeah, it's about almost 20 years, and they say it takes 15 years to be an overnight success, and I can contest to that. But it's not a uh, it is a the turning point for me was, when I started going to Asia, and I always wanted to go to Japan. A number of artists and jewelry will say, I want to open up that Japanese market. I really want to take my things over there. I really want to get
Right.
started there. And the difference between what I feel I did versus what they did. I used to work as a road salesman. So I would knock on a lot of gallery doors, tell them who I am, tell them the line that I sold. And so I kind of took that same show to Japan. Uh, a lot of artists will say, well, if a gallery represents me and they pay for me to go there, they feed me, they, room and board, I'll be there like that. And I'm like, well, don't wait for them to get you over there, go yourself. Well, I don't
Good
know
for
the
you.
language. I didn't know the language. I don't know where to go. I didn't know where to go. Um, and it was a roll of the dice. And so I
So
went there.
you've always been kind of a risk taker then. You just get your mindset on something and then you just execute, you get it done.
I try to. And one thing that kind of I've done in my life is when people say, you're not going to sell in New York. Well, they'll say, well, you're going to start doing jewelry. Where are you going to sell it at? I go, I live in Santa Fe, so this is where I'm going to start. So when I sold in Santa Fe, I'm like, wow, I'm here in Santa Fe. I have a gallery that represents me. Now what? And a lot of other artists and jewelers feel that they get to Santa Fe, that's the pinnacle. They've made it. They don't have to go anywhere else. For me, I'm
Right.
like, well, there's an East Coast and there's a West Coast. I sell to a beautiful, amazing boutique in LA called Maxfield. Very, very exclusive. It's a great place. Um, and then there's another one called Dover Street Market in New York City. And both places are great. Dover Street has places in New York, LA now, Singapore, Shanghai, and Hong Kong.
All
There's,
great markets.
yes, all of them. And so I have that one retail outlet. Now they sell to all those places.
Oh, that
And
congratulations. That's great.
and
Well, you've got a strong hustle. I know that for sure.
and the beauty of it is I get to go to all these cities and all these countries. And they do take care of me. And I'm really thankful for them too. I don't take anything for granted. Just like through this pandemic or anything that has transpired, it could go away. It could be gone tomorrow. It's.
Right.
But I do understand that if
Let me
I
ask
just
you,
go
how,
ahead.
as a Native person, how were you received in these Asian countries? Because I know Japan, for one, has just gone crazy over cowboys and Indians, and obviously
Right.
that's kind of the reference point that people have when they are not from this country, and even in this country. But how were
Hmm.
you received when here comes this native man, good looking guy, big guy coming with all this incredible jewelry. What was that like?
Well, what's different about me and some other natives that have been there, they go in there with they emulate what people do see on TV, and they kind of perpetuate that idea and that whole thought. Where I went in, they're like, "What are you gonna wear?" I go, "I'm wearing this." They almost like, have like feathers or regalia that you can wear to the opening, and it would honestly. I'm a showman enough that I could pull it off. I could tell stories of the buffalo when they used to run the prairies. I could say there's a rabbit runs over the mountains to see the sunset. I mean, I would have all these great stories. But when I start telling a story like that, I just start laughing because I know it's bullshit. And I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. We are trying to be set forward. We don't need to speak in single syllable sentences. And and as I travel more and more, I find that people are people, and I don't want to perpetuate maybe that stereotype. It is
Right.
there, and a lot of people do have that tradition, and I'm not taking that away from them. But we also drive cars. We also turn the faucet on, water comes out. But we do have that foundation of being able to go back to that and practicing our religion, our culture, our tradition, and that's the beauty of that being native. And
Right.
for me, uh, I'm not going to go to Asia and push it on them and say yes, this is me and this is how my people this and my people that. I I'm there to learn more about them than they are about me. And if they have questions, I'll definitely relay those questions. And if I don't have an answer, I'll get an answer for them and I'll give it to them. Or if they want to come out and visit me, I have an open studio. I'll take them to where I grew up, and they appreciate that. They really, really do.
So there is a real authenticity with you, and I think that's what comes through. That's what sets your jewelry apart from everyone else. Is that it's you. It's your energy coming through the jewelry because it's very stylized. I mean, you either relate with it or you don't, and that's what I really love is that, to me, it's very empowering, especially as a woman and as a Native woman. It harkens back to some of the tradition, the feathers, the stars. I mean, in our culture, we're known as the star people, Luiseño
Oh,
people.
wow.
So we have that in our creation story. But it's modern though. You don't feel like it's something that got handed down. Nothing wrong with having things handed down from your grandparents. Maybe an old turquoise piece that's almost like I guess you'd say vintage. But what you're creating is for this generation of natives, and then everyone else out there is appreciating what you're doing, but it's coming from your heritage and your roots, but you're making
Right.
it modern, which is, I think, what's so fabulous.
Well, things that I do with the my jewelry is I do take techniques and ideas that are thousands of years old that the Navajos were taught by the Spaniards, and I use that, but I use it as a foundation and a platform. I also do casting. I do 3D printing, 2D and 3D printing. Um, I'll grow a piece in a wax form and then cast, like this particular piece here. This is mimics a like a large diamond ring, and you can kind of see on the side of it. I'm not sure if you can see that well.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then this one happens to have a Star David. Um, and just because I do have some Jewish clients,
Cool.
and this will be put into a mold. The top part right here will be taken off, this top crown, and removed. Then we can cast. Then we can cast the top component with it, and then every one of these lines here, all through there, are going to be encrusted with diamonds. It's going to be an 18 karat gold, and the whole thing will be all diamonds on the bottom side here. Then it'll have a giant. It has enough room for like a single or double or 2 carat diamond in the center. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to be really, really significant. It's not going, and it's going to be a large, uh, really large piece. So
That makes
it's
me
going to
want
look
to
like
get
someone who did
married
a
all
shot.
over again.
There you go. People do it
Just
all
for
the
the
time.
ring, of course. Just for the ring. That's
But
awesome.
this is computer generated, and any of the pieces that I do make, even though you can say, oh, he's cheating, he's doing this, he has a computer, the computer makes the whole thing. I will say we can get two people side by side. We'll say we'll make the same thing, and their design will be completely and totally different than mine.
Right.
As someone who doesn't work in the art industry, all they're going to be doing a lot of time is just making a circle, and that's going to be a ring. But I can make that all day long in just raw material. What we want to do with the technology that we currently have is make something that would be extremely hard to make in a physical form. This can be done physically, but it would take quite a long time, and the final project would look. It might look great, might not look great, but
And it would be really time consuming on top of that.
it
And
would.
I think, even with art, there's a lot of artists that I work with that are utilizing Photoshop to do whatever, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, to bring, rather than having to sketch everything out, they're using these, I call them modern tools. But at
Right.
the end of the day, it's not the bow and arrow, it's the archer, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can have two people with the same equipment, Photoshop, whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get something that's incredible. It still comes down to the creativity and the ability of the artist to utilize that equipment or technology to create something that you're creating.
Yeah. I mean, it's say a guitar. You have a guitar has 6 strings, and everyone has could be metal strings, steel strings, or it could be the nylon ones. But you all have
Right,
the guitar, 6 strings, and each one will have their own style. And you keep practicing, you develop your own style, your own particular sound. And that's how
right,
it is with artists. You have a particular look and you run with it. And if you do have something that looks really solid and it looks really strong, my recommendation is run with it. Even though you may have seen somebody who did it 10 years ago, 3 years ago, or you're not necessarily copying it. And if you do take an idea from somebody, Make it better than the one that you saw. Don't make a crappy rendition of it. You make it better, make it your own, and get it out there. So when someone says, "Oh," like right now, if someone makes something that's in a star format or a formula or something, everyone says, "Oh, did you get that from Cody? Oh, is that one of Cody's designs?" And it frustrates the other artists. I don't have uh, uh, a patent on the star. It's worldwide.
Right.
But if somebody in my industry makes one, they're like, "Oh, you're just copying Cody. Oh, you look like this is something that Cody would made." And it's like I said, it's frustrating to them, but for me, I'm like, well, that's cool. I don't
Well,
mind that.
that's generous of you. That also, I was thinking when you were talking about how when you were coming up and learning, you always were listening and trying to learn from other people. So now you've got all these young artists and jewelry makers looking up to you and saying, "Oh my gosh, maybe someday I'm going to be able to be like Cody." Do you have an opportunity to give back to those younger people now?
We have IIA here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's a Native American university now, and they do have a jewelry making class, and I do have some really nice tools in my studio that um, are better than the tools that they have even in the college setting. I always extend my studio to any student, to any other artist. Please come in. I have some things that will simplify your life. I have a tool that will make your life easier. Come in, and it amazes me on how many people don't come in. I'll say that to some Japanese students, and next month they'll be like, "We came here. Oh, what are you doing?" They're like, "We come to see you. We're gonna learn how to make jewelry." I go, "Well, come on in. Let's go." There may be a language barrier sometime, but we figure it out. And then I'll ask her, "Hey, where are you going after this? You can go to Grand Canyon, you can go to LA, you can go to Las Vegas. What are you guys going to do with your time here in America?" They're like, "Oh, we're going back to Japan. We're here only for you." And
Wow.
things like that blow my mind because people who are here in Santa Fe, people here who know, I'm an open book. To all the mistakes that I've done, I will tell them, "Don't do it this way, do it this way." Get your website, get your name. If you're going to do international work, get your name out there. Make sure that it's licensed in that particular country. And I've had people like, "No, I know," and they don't do it. So I can only you can learn by my mistakes. You can learn what to do and not what to do, and I mean how to do it, legally, and how to tackle it internationally. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same boat as I am, and you're going to be just like scratching. You won't know whether to scratch your watch or wind your butt. You know.
Exactly. Well, some people, I think the most successful people in life are have humility, that they're willing to go out and seek people who are better than they are. And to
Hmm.
me, you've opened up your door. I know, George Rivera has said that you've been so gracious to collaborate with him. He's getting back to some jewelry making, and that you've opened up your studio to allow him that space. And I
Oh
just
yeah.
think that speaks worlds of who you are as a person and your willingness to just keep giving it out, giving it out, giving it out without any fear, because you've got all this creativity pent up in you. You can't
Hmm.
really be contained.
Yeah, and I think, and if we can do that, and we can continue to share as native artists or artists in general, if we can say, "Okay, I'll show Ruth-Ann, I'm going to show you how to make this ring," okay, and then you show somebody else how to make the ring a particular way, but we just keep doing this, we climb as a whole industry together. Instead of
Yes.
you knowing some particular technique and some idea, and you holding it close to your chest, sometimes like our stories, our native stories, they fade away and they pass on when the storyteller passes and they
Right.
didn't tell all the right stories. So if we can continually teach and continually share our ideas, we as an industry will rise and compete at a global level, even though we can compete at a global level now. When I go to different countries, I go to their museums, I go to uh, their boutiques or their art displays, their public art, and I try to look at their work. And I will have to be honest, our work is just as good, in a lot of cases better. And we
Well,
just
we
don't
have
know
been
that.
here for a while.
Yep. But we just don't know it. We just don't
Right.
know how good we are. It's just a matter of educating the youth and making sure that they know that we can compete globally. The
Well, part
internet.
of that, I think, harkens back to the oppression. We are just,
Hmm.
I think, as Native people in the last, I'd say 25 years, really starting to break out of the fear that we've had that we could never do anything because we've
Hmm.
been isolated. And, however anybody feels about gaming, gaming really opened up a lot of opportunities for us because when you do have finances coming in, you can get education, there's a lot more options. And so I think that we're really starting to hit this stride in Indian country and spreading the message that we have a lot to give the world, and you're one of
Hmm.
those creatives that are giving so much back. So were you planning before the COVID hit? Do you do like a traveling show where you go to other countries and you make an appearance, that type of thing?
I do. There was a time when I was I looked at my passport and it looked like it averaged out for every 9 weeks I was out of the country or someplace in the world. I used to do Men's Fashion Week in Paris in January and in June. So a lot of those things, because they've been canceled, all my my sales during those uh, trips have been, they're not there no more.
Mm-hmm.
So in turn, I have to, let some of my people go. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep as many on as I could, and they understand. They
Mm-hmm.
completely understand, and they know that when we get back on it, we're gonna, we definitely will call them back, and they do come in periodically. We keep the place safe. My son, whose middle name is Agoya, which means star, he lives here in my studio. He kind of
Okay.
has his own place. And when this pandemic started, I wanted to stay here, so I have a little place up here. I have a bed, and we converted my studio to a kitchen area and things like that, and have great Wi-Fi and have all my tools here. And I have no problem just staying here. And but I do have a girlfriend, and she wasn't too happy with
I was going to
me
ask.
being gone. But this is my space, this is my livelihood, and this is the way that I'm going to be able to continue to live, and that's why I kind of chose this and then went back and forth
And
and
how
kept my
about
circle really
online
tiny.
sales? Have you been able to do promotion? I know we're doing this live
Hmm.
streaming platform. And one of the things I really encourage you, viewers, as you're listening, watching, is to go to Cody's website. And if you see something that you like, obviously support this artist. And because you're not only supporting him, but you're supporting all of the employees that he has, and you've become like an industry within your
Hmm.
own creativity there.
Right. With that said, the website that I do have online, the codysanderson.com, it is run by my international representatives. So you will see
Okay.
some some really cool things on it. But if you're based in America, please contact me or any of my galleries. My gallery is Sorrel Sky in Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Okay.
and I have or if you can't find them, you can contact me directly through Instagram, something like that. I'm pretty
Okay.
easy to work
Perfect.
with, and we'll go ahead and take care of them. But anything in Asia, I would say go through my website or Cody Sanderson official on Instagram too.
I have all those streaming there. So folks, and also make
Okay.
sure that you follow Cody. Go on to Instagram, follow him, go on to Facebook. Those are always great ways of sharing, because we're all here on this platform to really share the love of art and creativity, but also to hopefully maybe you share it on your page and somebody says, "Oh my God, I have to have that." And then they go and they place an order. I mean, it's all everything counts right now.
Yeah, it does. And if you any type of transactions that might transpire between the buyer or the collector and the artist, it's really, really is helping them, and it really is a significant component in their livelihood.
It
Where
is.
someone like myself, this is my only source of income. I'm really proud of what I get to do and the people that I meet. It's not uh, a crafty thing. I'm not like a, it's not cute. I mean, it is to some degree, but it's not. It is my life. Like a doctor, like an attorney, like a businessman. I work as a craftsperson, and I do things that are significant that I feel in my life that are going to be lasting longer if taken care of. Like I said, thousands of years.
Yes, I agree. What you're creating is something that will be treasured for generations to come, not just in our lifetime, which is
Hmm.
significant. How many people can say that in their life, that what they're creating will be a legacy that goes on and on? So, I want to come back to your life growing up on the res, and I know that you have gone through some hardships in your life. Here we are, we're global on this planet, and we're facing a common enemy that we haven't really faced since probably the Spanish flu that came
Hmm.
through globally. What are your thoughts about keeping your mind in a good space while going through this time of complete unknown?
Well, the thing about that whole thing of being that complete unknown, and 1993 here in New Mexico, they had the hantavirus, and nobody knew what it was, but it only was concentrated into northern New Mexico and into Arizona. And they found it was from rodent droppings. These things called deer mice were the ones that people were. They had the rodent droppings when they get dry. People were inhaling it, and it caused this. It was almost like the bubonic plague, but it was they
Right?
called it the hantavirus, and it just destroyed the tourist industry here in northern New Mexico and in Arizona. With that said, it happened only in this pocket of the world, and we're really a little compressed and tight. The only thing I can say that with this pandemic that's transpiring is it's global. Everybody is in it. It's not
Right.
affecting just us in this northern New Mexico or southern Arizona or southern California or the tip of Point Barrow, Alaska. It is everywhere, and so everyone is feeling its financial effect. And that's the only thing I can say that's good that we do have that. And amazing things are going to be transpiring out of this. People are going to be looking at it as, woe is me, this is so terrible, this is awful, but people are going to evolve and people are going to start doing things. It's like living in Phoenix. If it's 115 degrees there, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, but I know tomorrow's going to be 115. What am I going to do? And the next week's going to be 115. It might be 120. You adapt, you conform, and you get air conditioning. You do something to make it
Right.
work for you. So right now we all have to wear masks. There's a big debate: does it work? Does it not work? There's talks on TV things, but I will tell you that in Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan, where I usually go to, uh, the country has 25 million people. They've gone through H1N1, bird flu, SARS, and then when they
Right.
said COVID, they said, okay, you guys know, don your mask, keep your distance, take your temperature, whether you're in a hotel, whether you're in what was it, a mall, or any public forums. And so they did. So as of now, I believe they have 6 fatalities to date with that
Hmm.
virus. They have maybe under 1,000 people right now. And if we had those same numbers in America, we would suffer from 96 people fatalities from it. Now we're like
Right.
162,000 and 5
Right.
million
And
have it. And there's
climbing.
people that I know have it. And that's one of the things that helped the most was just wearing a mask. You may not
Right.
think about it, you're arguing about it, but when 1 billion people are wearing it and it's and they're doing well, even on the Navajo Nation, they were up like it was the numbers were the worst in the world per capita. Now they've kind of flatlined it. They've
Right.
closed the weekends. They're closed at night. They have no activity going on, but it's actually kind of going down. Um, but it was bad. And we're going to all
So,
get through this somehow, some way, but it will happen.
well, I think the Asian countries they had experienced this, and so they got right with the program. We were a little tardy to the party here on
Hmm.
on this continent because we hadn't really experienced something like this in a very long time. So I agree with you, and I love what you're saying. This is the reality that we're in, so we've got to
Hmm.
deal with it. And the way
Yeah.
we do that is we look for opportunity. And that's something that I see that you've done is that, okay, what can we do? And,
Hmm.
that's the heart of the creative. You've got that yin yang going because you got the very logical, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to do this. Oh, wait a minute. I'm a creative. So you've got that meshing coming together, the two. And I think that's why one of the reasons why you've just been, a powerhouse in Indian country and then also globally. I mean, people know your name all over. When I came into that gallery, you had a line of people from all different countries for Indian market last year just to
Hmm.
say hi to you and to see what you had there that was new. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
You've made an impact on the planet, and should be super proud of that.
Well, thank you. I hope I will. I mean, I want to do that. And I always tell the young that whatever you do outside your world, and say you're traveling to Canada or to Germany or Australia, you're not representing just your family, yourself, your tribe. You're representing all natives. And if you're going out there and you're being a damn fool, it perpetuates the image of what they may have as natives that Hollywood has done,
Right.
whether it's drinking or drugs or, abuse or things like that. So we have to, uh, change that image, change that idea.
I love it. And then you got to get one of those rings once in a while when
Oh,
you're
yeah, you
just
do.
set up, right?
You do. There was a guy. He's a rapper. His name is ASAP Rocky, and he has one of those rings. And he got in trouble somewhere in Europe, and he did strike the fan that was harassing him. He did end up striking him, and I was like, God, I wish he had that ring on. That would have been so perfect. They say, well, who hit you? And because it's written backwards,
Right.
it would stamp right.
Right.
So that would have been great, and I would
Well,
have
I
had
want
great
one of those
promotion.
for anyone I see not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
You heard it from me, so
Okay.
I'm sure I'll get some haters, but that's okay.
Well, you can also tell them, well, the next time your nana or your brother or your sister or your child is maybe going under the emergent surgery, tell all the nurses, tell all the doctors, hey, don't wear a mask. It's your right to not wear it when you have open surgery, something like that. Or
Amen.
don't wear your seatbelt. And don't wear a helmet while you're driving 100 miles an hour. It's your right to not do that, but there's reasons for that. And like I said, if over 1 billion people are doing that and they're flatlining the curve and they're going down, they're doing something right. But if you're fighting it and and they can say the particles can still go through, something is better than nothing.
That's it. I agree with you. Well, my friend, thank you so much for being on the show today. And you heard it right from this rock star, Cody. I'm a big fan of yours, and I can't wait till I can get back to Santa Fe. It's going to be a dangerous trip for me when I come into Sorrel Gallery. And make sure, folks, you follow, get online and follow this great jewelry maker and person. And let's support the arts here. And you're just a blessing to everybody, Cody. I want you to know you've made a huge impact. And as a Native person, I appreciate you putting yourself out there on behalf of all Natives. So thank you for that.
I really, really, truly do appreciate that, Ruth-Ann. Let's keep on
Thank
moving forward.
you. Okay, sounds good. Be blessed, my friend. And I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. If not, I'll see you on Facebook or Instagram.
That's it. Okay, sounds good. Be well. Wow, what a powerhouse. That is such a interesting story that he comes from, Navajo Nation, which for any of you who know anything about Indian country, it's one of the harder places to come from, just because of the terrain. There hasn't always been a lot of opportunity, whereas, the coast, the Florida, California, we've had a little bit easier in some ways. We're smaller. So he's really come from some very difficult adversity. And then look at him. He's skyrocketed. And you can look him up. You can see all these celebrities. He's got collectors from all over the world and some really big names. But look at what a humble man he is, and how he has just a heart to give back to young people. And I just thought he, this is my first interview with him, and I've just met him briefly. So super impressed. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. We have another really great culinary artist coming onto the show on Wednesday. This gal has really taken the culinary world by storm. She has a James Beard Award for her cookbook. Her name is Lois Ellen Frank. She goes by Lois Ellen. She'll be on our show Wednesday doing a live cooking demonstration. So for you foodies out there, you're going to want to have your notebook ready, take notes. You're going to learn how to cook with some of the traditional ingredients that come right out of Santa Fe. And then we have sculptor Roxanne Swensel coming on Friday. Roxanne is one of the most important and recognized women sculptors in Indian country. She's in major museums. She is also one of those artists that I've been following for a long time. I had an opportunity to do a very extensive interview with her that we'll be releasing. So you don't want to miss these folks. These guys are the top of the food chain in Indian country. And that's who we're really bringing into the show, are people from Native cultures who have impacted the world through whatever their creativity is. So this month, try to schedule it. If for some reason you can't see these shows live, just simply go to our YouTube page, Art of the City TV. Make sure you subscribe there, and you'll see all of these live interviews. So I'm pretty passionate about it, and I really appreciate you spreading the word. Share this platform on your page if you wouldn't mind, and let's just share this creativity. The world right now needs light. It needs to have something to look at that's positive in the midst of all this negativity. And you folks are the ones that are going to be able to bring that to all your friends and family. So be well, have a great day, and I'll see you Wednesday right here, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live streaming Art of the City. We'll see you then.